But no, if you don't mind, I'd love to give a specific example that is on my heart at the moment.
Please.
So, not everyone's going to find this spiritual, and that's why I'm excited to talk about it, to be honest. But one of my favorite American filmmakers just released a new film. I saw it last night. It's called One Battle After Another by Paul Thomas Anderson. And to me, historically, maybe not this film as much, and maybe so in some ways, we could get into it or not, but I feel like he's really knocked it out of the park in terms of conveying subtle spiritual messages in his filmography. And not all of his films are like that, but when he does, it's such a profound experience because you don't see it coming, because it's subtle and it's integrated, and it's not like wearing a badge like, this is a spiritual movie, everything's going to be about spirituality. It's like it's a normal life thing happening. Even the one movie he made about a guru and a disciple called The Master, which is amazing, with Philip Seymour Hoffman and Joaquin Phoenix. One of my favorite movies, but it's like, it seems like it's a human tale about spiritual people, and they don't draw attention to it. And if you're not paying attention, you'll miss it. But there's mystical, visionary moments that are all throughout it, and they just drop little hints about cycles of life and death and consciousness beyond the body and people going in and out of dreams and memories seamlessly. You don't even know that you're in a dream or a memory before you're already out of it. And sometimes you come out of it and you didn't even notice it happened until the rewatch or the rewatch.
Yeah.
And it's that deep. And it's like, to me, obviously a movie will never be as spiritual as like a meditation program and actually tuning into that consciousness itself. But there's something really profound about indirectly conveying the spiritual through film that almost like spiritual teachers can't achieve, because they're just saying, this is what it is. And every person hears their own version of like, oh, I get what that means, but we're all hearing our own version of it. But when it comes to perceiving a movie, there's like, you're almost like seeing someone else's memory. It's like, to tie it back to the memory thing, it's like you're literally perceiving reality through someone else's eyes and like experiencing their life almost as a memory. And so, obviously David Lynch is like the king when it comes to spiritual filmmaking in America, and weaving in dream logic is a phrase he uses a lot into his filmmaking. And I just love that, the idea of dream logic, that yes, there is some subconscious mysterious element to it and it's beyond this reality, but there's logic to that different type of realm as well. And David Lynch really tried to put that into his filmmaking. And I feel like, rest in peace, hopefully David Lynch is one with divine consciousness right now, or whatever happens, reincarnated, I don't know his path, but as far as living filmmakers go, Paul Thomas Anderson, they call him PTA, he's my goat. He's the guy where I'm like, he's carrying the mystic torch right now. He's really doing it. But, okay, so he had his latest movie, or maybe he was doing, I don't know. Do you define a filmmaker by their highest achievement or their whole body of work? It's hard to say. I loved his most recent film, but I wouldn't say it's his highest mystical achievement by any means, nor was that his goal. It was, mostly a movie about a father trying to save his daughter. And it's a very human tale in that regard. But what I think he does successfully is that same subtlety and that same approach he takes to spirituality, he took with politics this time. Mm-hmm. Where he's not speaking on politics, there's just political tensions in the background, racist things and immigration tensions and things happening in the background. So it's a commentary on all of that without ever trying to comment on it, because it's just him telling a story about, this retired revolutionary stoner dad, played by Leonardo DiCaprio, trying to save his daughter. And so he's able to go into the nuances of humanity and human relationships, and it is spiritual in that sense, where it's like the father's love of a daughter, and you know this better than I ever will, as a father, like that is a spiritual thing too. That's a portal to divine love when viewed properly as well, in my opinion. As someone who doesn't have any kids, I say casually. But it seems like, you know, that's kind of the mystic truth he was trying to convey in that, is that finding that empathy and that love that's beyond yourself, you know, is what saves the day. Mm-hmm. And so that's the message of a lot of, you know, heartfelt American movies. But PTA just does it with class and subtlety and charm and just, you know, sort of this hilarious stonerism approach that I just love. So obviously a more spiritual example, just to stay on him for 1 second, I don't want to spend the whole conversation talking about this one filmmaker, but there's a movie he did called Phantom Thread, which is about a tailor, or a sort of a fashion designer from high society England, like in the 50s or something. But he's like a perfectionist, uptight, intense dude at the end of his peak career. And so it's really about him detaching from, like, losing his faculties, getting older, losing touch, getting close to death, and like coming to terms with that. Mm-hmm. But like within that, and this is just such a crazy oversimplification, just watch the movie if you haven't, but it's like there's all of these mystic things that are interwoven into it, where like he's sick and has a vision of his mother in this wedding dress that inspired his whole career as a designer and a sewer and everything. And like her whole thing was they sewed some prayer of hope into her wedding dress, and he had to make the wedding dress for some reason. And so that became a thing for him, where then he wove a message and had the phantom thread, right? There's an invisible spirit that he would kind of imbue into every piece that he made. And it's about his spiritual relationship to making dresses and how it's like the highest ceremony for him. Mm-hmm. It's like he's a guru, and his meditation program is making a dress. And then it's like literally putting a prayer, putting a mantra, putting an affirmation into, and like sewing it up so it's invisible and just like phantom. So, you know, the idea of it's funny I'm saying this now, but phantom thread is the Mystic Americana. Phantom is like this mysterious principle. If you don't think of it as an entity, of a phantom like a ghost, phantom as a concept is like the ethereal, sort of invisible, mysterious realm principle in a different way.
Right.
And then the thread is the connectivity that brings it all together, which represents the Americana principle that we're talking about, because it's more about the culture that connects the spiritual phenomenon together than it is about America.
I like that a lot.
So it's kind of like the podcast of the Phantom Thread in a sense. But wow, you know, those are just some highlight examples, but like PTA is a genius, and I hope that he continues to do more mystical, subtle, spiritual things as he continues to mature in age, because, you know, he's a father of teenage daughters right now. It makes sense. He's making this movie right now. I get it. But it's like, to me, when he's at his peak, is things like I just described, or like in There Will Be Blood. Yeah, There Will Be Blood is like about the descent of a man into madness and ego and becoming a demon basically over his greed for oil. But they show so much spiritual insight about human nature and these other energies working through us and connecting to our Christian history as a nation, and finding this powerful spiritual aspect of that weaves into it. It's like, it seems like it's about one thing, but it's actually very spiritual, very mystic. And to me, PTA is a prime example of what we're seeking to, you know, congratulate and highlight and elevate in this conversation here. So I'm so glad I got to see his movie already. It's definitely worth checking out, but it's more of an action movie. It's the wildest ride that he's ever done in that regard. Would I say one battle after another fits into the Mystic Americana umbrella? Maybe not so much, but a lot of his catalog does. And so I felt like he was worth bringing up as just one first example of like, here's someone who actually, you might think he's a Hollywood fucking egotistical madman, but he's found a way to craft some very subtle, contemplative, introspective, spiritual pieces of work that are pillars to me in terms of, you know, what is truly mystic and will stand the test of time. If America can survive 100 or 200 years, what culture is going to survive with that? And that's one of those, you know, a lot of his filmography are some of those spiritual gems that I think will stand the test of time. He definitely stands out to me as a mystic director, let's say.
That's good to know. I'll have to check more of that out. I've seen There Will Be Blood, but I've not seen any of the other films that you've mentioned.
I know. I'm sorry to just rattle all that up, but I wanted to share in case anyone is interested in seeing his work. You know,